This is Snake, and this is Desmos. I have used the native Desmos tools to create Snake. It's pretty bare bones. You start with a certain length for your snake. You can eat apples to make it bigger. There's also a slider to make the game you're playing either have solid walls that will kill you, or if you turn infinite on, it will just simply teleport you to the other side instead of having you reset your game. You gain length by eating apples, or the red squares. The objective really is to get the biggest snake. Like I said, it's just like a normal snake, but in Desmos. And this isn't the final version. I am planning on adding a few more things, fixing a few things, like a score counter, adjustable stage size, multiple apples, stuff like that. But so far, it's just you press the 4 directional buttons to move your snake, eat apples, get bigger, get as big as you can, eventually die, reset. And that was the simple explanation of everything. I will have the link for the game in the description, but now I will move to actually describing how everything works. So if you get bored easily, I would just go ahead and like, subscribe, check out the game on your own, comment if you want to, because now we are getting into the actual functions. So to start off, we have this reset function which sets the grid list, which honestly really isn't in use right now. I just have it to reset that. You set the snake positions, you get rid of all of the trail for the snake with that. The snake position list is set to nothing. The snake length is set back to 4, which is the base value. So the snake X and Y values are set to as close to the middle as it can. It will set to the floor value, so it'll be more towards this corner of the middle if it's an even number of tiles. So that's what reset does. Game tick moves the game in 1 tick forward, like this. The directional arrows run independent of the game ticker. The game tick itself has a STS, which is snake touching snake. If that's equal to 1, then the game resets. If not, it checks if the X is off the map, the Y is off the map, and if infinite is set to 0, then it will reset you. If infinite is set to 1, it will teleport you to the other end of the grid with this, which is if infinite is set to 1, your snake X will be set to the grid size minus 1 if you go below 0, and it will do the opposite if you go above the grid size minus 1. It does the same for Y. And then here we have the this calculates all of the snake position, movements, apple eating. So this is this snake position equals apple position, SP equals AP. Then it will make snake length to snake length plus 1 and put the make the apple go to a random position that is not taken up by the snake. The snake PL is the snake position list. It will set if the list is bigger than the snake length or equal to the snake length, it will it'll just get rid of the last item on the list and add a new item for the new position. And then here is just it will move the snake according to what direction is facing. If snake direction is 1, the snake X will increase by 1. If it is 2, the snake Y will decrease by 1. If it is 3, then the snake X will decrease by 1. If it is 4, the snake Y will increase by 1. That is the game tick. The grid has the grid list, which is just a 1 is just a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up to the grid size squared minus 1, which just gives a good little thing. So I can just index what square it's on over here. The GI grid info, I think it originally stood for, is not used. I was going to use it for something else, haven't gotten rid of it, might come later. The grid size, adjust the size of the grid, GS, and that can make the grid bigger. Everything adjusts with grid size, so if I set it to like 50, then everything, well, once I reset, then everything will line up with that. But it's just set to 20 for now because that's what I like it at. Setting it to random values sometimes messes it up. This right here is just the grid rendering. It uses the grid list to just make the grid the size that it needs to be, nothing too complicated. The snake list is all variables and rendering for the snake. Snake position, this just gives the index value of the snake by, it's a snake X plus the grid size times the snake Y position. The SD is the snake direction, which gives the direction in which the snake moves. SX is the snake X position, which is the X position on the board. SY is the Y position, which gives the Y position on the board. This polygon here is for the snake trail, which is slightly transparent. This right here is for the snake head, which is a bit less, is almost fully opaque. And just that's what you're controlling. SPL, snake position list, is a list of all the previous snake positions that it is keeping track of to render the tail. SL is the snake length, which just gives the length of the snake. STS is snake touching snake, which just simply checks the list for if the snake is touching the snake's tail. So SPL is the snake position list. SP is the snake position. This function here checks if the snake positions list contains the current snake position, which will mean that you're touching the tail. And if you are not touching the tail, it will be 0. If you are touching the tail, it will be 1. This is used for collision detection. For resetting the game, move buttons, this is just all 4 move buttons. They're all pretty similar. They move with the grid size, and the function simply sets the snake direction to the correct direction unless it is in the opposite one, so you cannot accidentally press a button and in the same tick have it kill you, unless of course you are super fast and you just like click that and that, and it like goes from this direction to this direction to this direction in the same tick. The Apple folder is full of the functions for the Apple. AP is the Apple position. This polygon shows the apple, just a red square. RAP, random apple position. It sets the apple position to the absolute value of a random number. It's just a very long decimal times the length of the Apple AG Apple something list. I forget what G stands for. But it does a random value on that list, and it rounds it, so you just always get a whole number. And yeah, it's just a random value on the AG list, pretty much, is what that function does. AG is the grid size minus 1 minus the remove that. So this function right here is pretty much just taking the grid index and subtracting the snake positions from it. So it cannot spawn on the old snake positions. I still have to fix it so it can't spawn on the head, but that will come next version. Complicated functions that I borrowed. I pretty much just Googled it because I don't know calculus and I don't really have time to learn it because school's starting and everything, so I will get it eventually, but for now, this is just what I did instead. Remove removes a certain item from a list using these two functions, and CS checks if a certain item is in an array. So that's used for collision detections, checking if you're on the Apple. Slider scale makes that slider at the bottom smaller or bigger. I keep it at 5 because I just like it at 5. Infinite plus slider is just the slider render and the slider mover, and inf infinite just says whether or not the map is infinite. That is a description of all of the functions in the game. If you want to support me, just subscribe, comment, like. Not really support, this isn't monetized. But yeah, subscribe, comment, like, play the game if you wanna. Peace.